Madam Speaker, the American people have spoken. They have fired you and have chosen to end the Democrats' one-party rule throughout our government. The days of this chamber being treated as Pelosi's house instead of the people's house are over.
Ho, 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 ho. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, everyone. It is not Roger, who's really pissed off today. It's not Jimmy, who's probably half drunk. It's me, it's John, and this is the Prepared Mind channel. It is Sunday Night Live, and it is time for the Zoo for You. Now, I am a little bit exhausted. I'm a little bit pissed off. But it is the Christmas season, folks, and get this. In 9 more days, it'll be our 10th year anniversary. Woo! We've been here a long time talking about SHTF. And what's going to happen when it comes? Well, it has come and we're dealing with it. I'm glad you're here. And folks, this is your show. It's the Zoo for You. Again, were it not for you being here, I'd be in the futon couch, reclining, as it were, catching some Z's. But because of the situation we're in, and I'm talking about the crap up there on the surface, because of that, folks, I'm down here with you guys. Now, it is the Christmas season, and you guys have done a great job making sure that we are well-stocked with Spam, well-stocked with tuna fish, right? Well-stocked with Who hash and whatever else they eat in Whoville. Anyways, thank you for your donations here on Sunday Night Live. That super chat button up there is your way, folks, to do many, many things. Number 1, it goes into the GTFB and SB fund. It sure does. It goes into that fund, folks, which keeps me here. Now, there's a lot of places that I could be, right? And it's here that I choose, and you guys make it so. The other thing your funds do, your funding, it gets your question right down here at the bottom of the screen. Your super chat donation, folks, gets your topic, your subject, your thoughts, your questions. You can have an anecdote about the past. You can have a prediction about the future. It's up to you. This is actually your show, and we do it. It is thesubscribestar.com. All of those subscribers are here. We have, folks, the preparedmind.club, our flagship privately owned website. You guys support that. We're here. And then all of YouTube is also here live. But the only people who can get questions up on Sunday Night Live is the super chat button or using PayPal. I'm not a fan of PayPal, but I tell you what, we're still using that as an avenue. And also CashApp. CashApp, I get donations through CashApp, and you can see the links down below for those. Folks, this is how you get to bring up your topic. How many times have you heard people say, yeah, I wish I could do something about it. I wish I could talk to more stupid people than, well, my coworkers and my friends and even my family. It's like, here's my family, right? They're not listening to me. Well, if you want to talk to people, this is how you do it. You come here. You go up there, you get that internet address right up there, and you share it. Email, text, messenger, Facebook, whatever. Say, people, right? These are your friends. Wake up, right? Post the link to this video to get people to come here and join us. What are we talking about? All kinds of shit, folks, right? You like that Lauren Boebert intro? Nancy Pelosi, you're fired. I wish she would have said some shit like, you crinkly old raisinated bitch, right? Nobody likes her, right? Everyone loves an adorable grandma. She bakes cookies. She smothers you in kisses, right? Everyone loves that grandma. Fucking Nancy Pelosi. I don't know how awful she smells apart from the rancid wino breath that I'm sure she just emanates. She just disgusts me. And someone calls her Nana. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Probably her 20-year-old pool boy that she keeps around. Folks, I just made Uman vomit. He's back there. Here he comes. It's Uman. And you okay, man?
You just made me throw up in my mouth.
Okay. Well, go get some mouthwash, Uman. Uman with the blue wrench. He's got the blue wrench. This is the blue wrench of the moderator, and Uman keeps control of the audience. Yeah, it is the zoo. But even at a zoo, you don't have the lions eating the gazelles, right? No, we don't. Lions do not eat the gazelles at the zoo. We keep them separated, and we put the lions in lockdown. If you want to comment, right, you've got to be a subscriber. You just do, and you have to have been a subscriber for 30 minutes. We're not just going to let you come on here and be an asshole. You've got to put your time in. And I tell you what, a lot of people come on, they subscribe, and they're like, you know what? I got some stuff to say. And if you have to listen for 30 freaking minutes, guess what? You're going to start thinking about how to be something other than just a smart ass. And you start asking legitimate questions and joining people in the comment section as we discuss what's going on here. Oh, good golly. I've got a shit pile to talk about. Folks, the Christmas season is here, and it's upon us. And it is not letting up. And when I say not letting up, I'm talking about the woke, critical race theory, child grooming, left-wing stupidathon. It's incredible. The strangest of bedfellows, folks, are on the side of the Democrats and the Rhino Republicans, right? Everything from people who want to excuse pedophilia and normalize it, people who want to excuse Satan worship and normalize it, people who want to excuse sexualizing children at school and normalize it, people who want to excuse destroying America by allowing it to be flooded with literally millions of illegals. And they want that justified. Oh, we got a lot to talk about. Let's just start with this one. I just want to start off the bat. Hey, it's Christmas season. So a woman shoots a 12-year-old girl. 12-year-old girl. This woman shoots her in the neck. Why? Because she was arguing with her niece. Oh, well, what city could this be? Let me see. Where is the city that has outlawed guns and has more gun crime than any other fucking city in the country, right? Only a city with the most insane people. Well, a city like that would be run by, I don't know, Beetlejuice. And lo and behold, it's Chicago, Illinois. 28-year-old woman, idiot, shoots a 12-year-old in the neck. Now, this did happen last month, but it's being reported right now. Sit-Go gas station. I'm not going to a Sit-Go anytime soon. Right? If I see a sit-go, I'm going to sit on my ass and keep going. Right? They're kind of calling it a drive-by shooting. But what happened is this girl was intentionally shot because she started a fight with the shooter's niece. And by the way, the idiot has 3 children and is currently pregnant. So you can tell, I'm sure she's on the welfare program, right? Which is have as many babies as you can, do as much stupid as you can, and you'll be rewarded for it. I tell you what, I've got the flask of joy, the Semper Fi flask. And for those of you who are early on in the show, I want to say Semper Fi to you, whether you're Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines, or even Coast Guard. But I want to share a personal story. Friday night, I went to a kind of a Christmas, another one of these fundraising type things. I really like all the charity events that are out there. right? They're fun, and okay, there's going to be some drinks and there's some snackies, but there's also some fundraising and some helping and outreach, and it's really a wonderful thing to do. But I was attending this function, and at the end of the function, I noticed a guy with a rather loud medium blue jacket. It was like a royal blue jacket, and I thought, that's a fucking jacket. Anyways, I walked to go by him, and I noticed a lapel pin, and I looked a little closer, and it was an anchor, globe, and eagle. So I stood there for a few minutes, so just kind of on his periphery. You know, I don't want to overwhelm people. Well, not at first. I don't want to scare them. Anyways, this guy's wearing a lapel pin. I'm thinking, well, he must be a jarhead. And lo and behold, he is. He turned, put his attention to me. I said, hey, Semper Fi, man. He says, Semper Fi, brother. And we started talking. And within 20 seconds, he just looked at me and he goes, you know what? Christopher's got to go. And I said, which Christopher, man? Kris Kringle? What are you talking about? And he says, no, I'm talking about Christopher Wray. And his voice got loud when he said Christopher Wray, and folks, the crowd kind of parted. Kind of like that scene in Indiana Jones where that guy's like swinging the sword and shit, and the crowd parts and Indiana Jones just shoots the fucking dude. It was one of those moments. But I'm like, everyone calm down. I am going to agree with this guy. I was like, yeah, Christopher Wray's got to go. I said, what's it to you? And he started to tell me the story, right? And this guy is a retired major, and believe it or not, he is a member of part of his, shall we say, time in grade. He retired as a major, so he's an officer, but he came up. No, I'm sorry. He was a captain. Please forgive me. I asked him because he just looked like a major to me. Anyways, he said, yeah, served with recon. I said, that's just fucking great. You guys are heroes, right? I have the most respect for them because I spent a lot of time drinking my beer with the brothers. Anyways, I said, what's this Christopher Wray thing about? He says, well, I've got some sons. And the FBI, folks, if it's not on the 10th floor, he said, there's actually a lot of really good rank and file FBI agents. And they can't do a fucking thing about what is going on with Christopher Wray and Ruby Rod Rosenstein and Peter Strzok and those types of scum. But he says, we need to clean house. And again, the crowd fucking steps back. And he, you know, there's no threats of violence. No, we're going to do a hostile takeover. Nothing like that. It was just the people have had it with these scumbags. The people have had it with these scumbags, folks. All right, so when you see Lauren Boebert get up and take the stand and say, Nancy, you're fired. When you see Marge Taylor Greene stand up and just say, enough of this shit. When you see Matt Gaetz or Rand Paul, or you see any of these people, right? That is an attitude that is shared by a lot of people. It's not rare, but it's people in power. People in power that will not get out of the way. They'll keep their office. They're taking the money and they've got no dignity or self-respect. I'm talking about people like Mitch McConnell, who's been selling out this country so long, he doesn't realize he's even doing it anymore, nor does he give a fuck. Same with Kevin McCarthy, who is threatening nebulously, fucking mysteriously, just kind of threatening the air with his, if I don't get put in position, look out, right? That's a beautiful scorched earth threat. What a piece of shit. Folks, anyways, it was great to meet another brother. It was great to meet former recon. It was great to speak with an officer. And I'll tell you what, you know, there's just an attitude when you meet Marines. It's just fucking great. It fucking picks me up. Right now, goosebumps on the arms. Just meeting these guys, right? When you see them on the street, right, and they want to talk, you just fucking know it, right? And someday soon, folks, there's going to be hell to pay for all these fucking scumbags. So I want to give a big salute and shout out to all brothers in arms, not just Marines, but Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard. Semper Fi. I was getting my hair cut. I got my hair cut on Saturday. I was like, I can't fucking take it anymore. Got to get my hair cut. And I went to the local barber, and it's an old-time barber shop. Old-time barber shop. Saturday, mid-morning, 10:30, 11 o'clock. And this barber shop has newspaper articles from the 50s and 60s tacked to the wall still. And it's nothing but old men coming in. Now, guys in their 30s, 40s, up to their 80s. And the place is packed. They got 3 barber chairs. They sit down, they cut your hair like a man, they put shaving cream on your neck, they shave your neck, and it just, you just know. This guy comes in, sits down, that dude was fucking Army. You can just tell. His style of haircut he's got that needs to be trimmed up, it's Army regs, Army specs. Right? When you see a jarhead, you just fucking know it. It's going to be 0, graduated up. That's just good stuff, folks. Good stuff. I tell you, okay, this is your show. So I'd like to kick off the topics. Next one will be with you guys. We're over 300 people live. That's more than the President of the United States gets. What's that tell you? No one wants to hear from that clown, folks, and they're losing power. What we need to do is exterminate the vermin, folks, and put good people in. All right, let's do it. Jolene, who do we want to put up first from that side from the audience? Who has something to say? And it is Carport Carl with a 2.23 super chat donation. And I love Carport Carl. He says, Merry Christmas, and I'll give you a big Merry Christmas back. That's right, a big Merry Christmas to you as well. Don't have my Santa hat with me. I think I left it upstairs. Anyways, thank you, Carport Carl. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas, right? This is the season to be giving. And I want to give the gift of preparedness, right? That means I have a message. We need to get prepared. There's going to be trouble, right? Over the weekend down in Florida, right? There is just absolute opposition to what's being done to children, right? So there was a huge rally that was organized by Florida Fathers for Freedom and others, of course, and they wanted to defeat the mandate to protest forced masking because they're starting to push this COVID mask shit again. Anyways, different groups organized at the Protect the Children rally, right? Moms for Liberty, Fathers for Freedom, love it. But Antifa, folks, Antifa also heard about this. And I'm wondering why our brothers and sisters in Florida don't just go kick the ever-loving shit out of Antifa when they see them, right? Now, Antifa heard about this, and they decided that they would send out a call. So they urged their peers with Twitter posts. How come they can do this? They said, hey, you need to come to these rallies and confront the hatred and protest against hate, right? And they referred to people wanting to protect their children from these radical fruitcakes. They wanted to call them fascists, because Antifa is anti-fascist, right? So they say we can't allow this kind of bigotry to go unchecked. So they have this term, and I don't think I've shared it here anymore or prior to this. They call it stochastic terrorism. Antifa says you and I are engaged in stochastic terrorism. And what it refers to is the demonization of using so-called hate speech. When we say something they don't like, they call it hate speech, and say that's stochastic terrorism, which they, that triggers them. That's an act of violence to them. So of course they believe that they can incite violence against people that use these terms. So these little fruitcakes, these little Antifa types have big banner up that says gays aren't going to hell, but fascists are. Quite interesting, folks. Quite interesting. Right. They want people to show up and bring their hate. Right. They're really, folks, they don't want anyone else to bring violence, but they want to. Right. It is unbelievable. Now, by the way, there's this one part of this. Gays Against Groomers showed up at this event because they're against what is being done to children, right? They believe that their community has been hijacked. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to agree with that, right? I've met and know gay people, and they're not these fruitcakes, right? They're just not. But they're sick and tired of the most radical amongst them claiming they speak for the whole group. The same way Black Lives Matter claims to speak for all blacks, and they don't. They claim to speak for all persons of color, and they don't. Right? These fruitcakes claim to speak for all of the gay community. I tell you what, we've got big fights coming, right? But yeah, they've been hijacked. Yeah, you bet they've been hijacked, and not enough of them are speaking out against it. All right, tell you what, folks, we got T Gomina checking in with $25 Cash App Super Chat donation. $25. Thank you very much. No question. Tamika, go ahead and put your question in the comment section, and we'll see if we can get Jolene to grab it. If you've got something to say, I want to hear it. I want to know what your question is. I want to know what your thoughts are, and thank you for that great Christmas GTFB and SB donation. Let's move on. Let us move on. This is a big one, folks. There is a rejection of this left-wing stupidity. There truly is. GM, Audi have gone on Twitter, and they have basically gone woke on Twitter, and it's backfired. Folks, it's backfiring everywhere. And you and I have a chance to join the efforts to fight back. Now, I think the most important fight is to email, text, comment, question, everything you can, right? Like I was saying the other day, have a group, all the politicians in Washington, D.C., just have it so you can group email them every day, right? You can set up email groups and tell them you want the Constitution observed, you want their oaths obeyed, and you especially want the first, second, well, hell, the entire Bill of Rights observed, right? But the other way that you can join, folks, is to join in and let these companies don't go argue with the fucking morons on Twitter or Facebook. But here we have companies like GM, Audi, right? They want to get all left wing, right? They thought they're going to get all crazy and just show the world how woke they are, right? So people have responded back. And here's a guy, his name was Hill Country John. And he wrote to Audi to tell them this. And Audi is Volkswagen also, folks. He said, all of your customers are not woke leftists. We will certainly consider this political move the next time we buy a vehicle, right? So Hill Country John is in the great state of Texas, right? Yeah, we're not all woke leftists. They're fucking stupid. They're alienating half of their people. So Audi writes back and says, hi, John, we regret to hear of your dissatisfaction and invite you to DM us if we can be of assistance. And he responded, if my DM could change this childish decision by Volkswagen, I certainly would. My public display of disappointment will have to suffice. Meaning, fuck you, you guys have already made your bed, now you can lie in it. Once again, folks, vote with your wallet and prep to action. I'm serious, we've got to keep fighting these people, and it's working. The leftist idiots, they're continuing to make all the bad decisions they can. They're doing it. They're making a shit pile of bad decisions. Well, screw them. And folks, with this economic recession / depression that we're now in the midst of, suffering under it with what? I was talking to Uman earlier. In fact, Uman, I'm going to bring you on in a minute. We're going to discuss some diesel fuel action. So, yeah, with everything going south, that means there's going to be less money for these corporations. And I'm sure all of these I don't want to go to work. I'm a worthless piece of shit. leftists. Well, guess what? They're not going to have money to spend at Audi or Volkswagen or any of their other woke outlets like Dick's Sporting Goods. So there you have it. They will suffer for their stupidity. All right, man, I'm going to bring you on, brother. You were sharing some information with me about diesel and in a couple areas of the country. Could you kind of go over those again?
Yeah. Some truck driver friends of mine, they're saying that, East Coast, they're having trouble finding fuel. And I don't know if it's still going on today, but I think last month they were having some limits on how much fuel they can buy at once. A friend of mine in West Texas was saying that they only had diesel at one of the 4 stations in his area. He's in a rural area, so I'm assuming that's delivery issues. But with this rail strike coming up, potential rail strike coming up, I heard talk about how the unions were thinking about striking, despite the Congress passing that bill saying that they have to accept the contract. There's talk of work slowdowns or sick outs or
right.
I guess they call it quiet quitting, where you show up for work and you just don't do anything but exactly what's in your job description. So that could cause some further problems with the shortages I'm hearing about down in Georgia as well. So hopefully it holds out until I get down to Florida to see my folks over the holidays, and maybe I'll get stuck down there.
Well, just be sure and stop by my place on the way as you head into the deep and deeper South.
I was planning on taking that detour, so.
Okay, coolness, man, coolness. Yeah, it looks like the diesel question, how much fuel is out there? And then, it seems that even with this ridiculous anti-carbon woke bullshit, the country is still trying to survive, and the fuel companies are still trying to get the fuel out there. And it's almost like the unions working in conjunction with the Democrats are doing all they can to fuck the entire system up, but they're having to work at it.
Yep. Oh, you know what? I did see an interesting article over the weekend. It said something about how I think Sweden was thinking about outlawing electric cars because there's just not enough power capacity.
Switzerland.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, it's Sweden, Switzerland. They all look the same to me.
Yeah, they all sound the same,
Yeah.
Sweden, Switzerland. What's the difference?
That bunch of, they have wooden shoes, don't they? Oh, that's the Danes. That's Remy Marsh, our good buddy from the Netherlands. They don't have enough energy, so now they want to get rid of electric cars in Switzerland. They're considering it.
We're going to be back to the Fred Flintstone mobiles next.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Every time I see one of those little
foot powered.
Every time I see one of those Fiats, I think about getting one and cutting a hole in the roof and a hole in the floor, and then I can just pick it up on suspenders and just carry it through traffic. Strongman style.
Yeah, make those right turns.
Yeah, the Flintstone style. Yeah, that's what we got. Oh boy, I tell you. Okay, man, I'll turn you back loose there and let you resume
the wrenching.
Yes, wrench the hell out of him, man. Okay, let's get back into it. Now, I talked about the brother I met, Captain USMC, and his family members that are working at the FBI and wanting to get it fixed. Well, get this, right? This is a huge story that popped up over the weekend. Rudy Giuliani was being surveilled. That is, he was being watched. The FBI began secretly watching him, surveilling him, listening in 1 month after he was hired by President Trump as his personal attorney. Folks, who's responsible for this shit? Who's responsible for it? Right? I remember when President Truman, he had that little sign on his desk that said the buck stops here. Washington, D.C., does the buck ever fucking stop, or do they keep passing the buck? No one wants any responsibility for what's going on, right? Nobody. But we find out now that the FBI was secretly following, listening, snooping on Rudy Giuliani? For what? What suspected crime? The FBI went to Twitter and said to Twitter, hey, there's a possibility of Russia being involved in the 2020 election. At least this is their bullshit story that they're trying to stick to. So FBI and Twitter had weekly meetings where they wanted to talk about censoring shit and shutting down. I mean, what has the FBI not been involved with when it comes to elections and politics? Folks, this retired captain I met, he said, look, this is, we got Gestapo. He didn't say that. I'm not putting words in his mouth, but these are the thoughts I had. He said, they have been politicized. That was something he said. They've been politicized. It's no longer law enforcement. It's a politicized police force. And again, I'm paraphrasing him. I don't have any exact quotes, but they've been politicized, folks. That is the Gestapo. That is the German SS. That's what they did, folks. They used their political power to terrorize the people of Germany, arrest them and send them to the Gulag. Actually, they didn't have gulags. Gulags were Russian. They were Soviet. But they did have concentration camps. Maybe they called them re-education camps. Maybe they called them safety camps, right? What name do you need to put on it? What name do you need to put on it? I mean, okay, over the weekend, Senator Johnson comes out. Now, you may remember Senator Johnson. He has been another one of these Washington politicians that has stepped up and started coming out. We need to support these guys that want to speak out, right? Senator Ron Johnson went on Fox News with Maria Bartiromo on the Sunday morning show, right? And he is continuing to say, right, what's going on is just wrong. Now, Senator Johnson from Wisconsin, and you would think that, he should be careful. Wisconsin, they seem to have some election issues up there. Anyways, he's saying that, Elon Musk, who now owns Twitter, who admitted that there was censorship over the Hunter Biden laptop, Senator Johnson is saying that is, quote, just part of a much larger story on the censorship of conservatives, folks. Isn't it amazing how Elon Musk, who is the flower child of all these leftists, these adoring leftist lunatics who love their electric cars because they get virtue signal and say, I got a Tesla, I'm saving the world, doing my part, right? And then the moment he says, I'm going to buy Twitter, they turn on him like a bunch of ravenous freaking hyenas because they know that anything that is less than the absolute most leftist is going to expose what they were doing. And yes, it's happening. Folks, I don't think Elon Musk is some great hero. I just think that his, shall we say, fuck you money that he has as a billionaire allows him to say, you know what, I'm going to do what I want and what I believe. But I don't particularly love Elon Musk or his policies or his belief system, but at least he is letting some of the, shall we say, dog hair out of the bag. Right. And we're finding out, that dog had fleas, too. A lot of fleas. So Johnson is saying there's a lot more to this. It's too bad that Biden, his family, the Democrat Party, the Attorney General's office, that includes, folks, Attorney General Merrick Garlick, right? Covering up the crimes, hiding the crimes, refusing to enforce the law against criminals and conspirators. So here's another guy, right? We had Lauren Boebert. We've got Senator Johnson. We got Senator Kennedy down in Louisiana. We need to support and promote these people being loud and going on when they can, Fox News and any mainstream media, as well as going on right-wing media if they can find any, as well as coming on YouTube and just sounding off. Folks, we have a long way to go, but we've got a good fight in front of us. I've told you time and again, SHTF, shit hitting the fan, doesn't mean we're going to lose. It just means we're in for a hell of a fight. The stock market crash of 1929, right? The economy didn't return to proper functioning till about, 1949? 29 to 49 is 20 fucking years of hard times. 20 years of hard times with a war right in the middle of it. And what have we got, folks? A bunch of fascists who love starting wars, right? Okay, yeah, let's see. Socialist fascism, that's Nazis. Socialist fascism, Nazis in the 1930s wanted war until they got it. Who wants war today, folks? Who's calling and screaming for war? Who wants it? Do you? Well, it seems to me that the European Union, NATO, and the United States government, and I'm not saying us, me and you, the United States people, but the government, they seem to be the ones who want war and always seem to be pushing for it. Oh, okay, let's do this. Let's do one of your super chat donations. See what you guys want to talk about. And we got Alex Jones with a Canadian 460. And he says, 460 SW, the Liberator. Merry Christmas to everyone. And Merry Christmas to you, Alex Jones. And the 460 is Nitro, is it? 460 Nitro Express is one caliber I'm aware of. Big slug of lead. Okay, so where do we want to go next, folks? Where do you want to go next? This was an interesting, I couldn't believe this jackass said it. Oh, before I jump into it, let me remind everyone who's here, we're over 400 people live. Share that internet address with everyone you know. Let's get it up over 500. And if you have a question, comment, thought, you want to get it on the screen, I'll make you famous. Super chat donation, folks. We'll accept anything from $1 to $1,000. We'll do it. Whatever you want to talk about. And even if I'm not allowed to talk about it, I have secret code words that subscribers are well aware of, and we can talk about it. Anyways, I'm just going to go full steam ahead right into this, folks. The World Health Organization has warned that a reduction in the alertness, the awareness of cerveza bug, that could create a new deadly variant. That's right, folks. If you are not aware that cerveza bug is out there, it makes them mutate. It gives them a chance to mutate. Do you think that viruses give a fuck if you're aware of them or not? Right? If you're not aware of them and someone sneezes on you, you get sick. If you are aware of them and someone sneezes on you, you get sick. The virus doesn't know English or Spanish or Portuguese or Russian or Chinese. No, they don't. No, they don't care about our awareness. They do what they do. So why would, folks, a drop in our alertness, our awareness, our readiness, why would it, how and why does that create new variants, much less a new deadly variant? They're pushing it, folks. They're really pushing it. They want everyone afraid, and they want everyone, folks, well, to get ready for the next thing. It sounds like predictive programming. We warned everyone. You wanted to take your masks off. You wanted to go around and hug your family and kiss your spouse. Right. Now, all of you LGB guys that want to go have butt orgies, you go right ahead, and monkeypox is your business. We won't bother you about that. But for everyone else, right, you're gonna die from cerveza bug unless you listen to us. They want that power and control back, folks. They do. They do. And here's a great example of it in New Zealand. That's right, New Zealand. Isn't that the place where they arrested someone for smuggling Kentucky Fried Chicken through the countryside in the trunk of their car during the lockdown? Yes. Yes, New Zealand, who recently said, yeah, we're not going to do any more mandates. We're going to give up on that. Well, they haven't given up on it altogether, folks. The government down in the Kiwi zone is trying to steal a baby from parents because those parents refused to allow blood that's tainted with the Jim Jones juice for their son's surgery. So let's see, some parents are concerned and have a belief system supported by the testimony of thousands of doctors around the world who say Jim Jones juice and the juice booster is bad. Thousands and thousands and thousands of doctors. And these are the ones that are willing to open their lips and say something. How many thousands and thousands and thousands, if not millions of doctors around the world are silent because they don't want to say a word, because they're either taking the money or they're trying to keep the government from taking their license, their medical license to practice. So they don't say anything. But still, folks, tens of thousands of doctors are saying, hey, that Jim Jones juice blood is bad. Right? In fact, it was tested. Someone came out and published a report last week that they tested it and they found all kinds of contaminants in blood of people who have the Jim Jones juice. They said, how did this shit get in there? What the hell is this crap in the blood supply? So there is, folks, a huge move to create a blood system, right? A blood bank system for pure blood. That is blood that has not been infected with Jim Jones juice and the juice boosters. So there's all this happening around the world, but New Zealand says, you want to protect your baby and use your own decision making? So we're going to try and take your kid. It's unbelievable. They will not give it up, folks. They're not going to give it up. So I'm going to jump into this, and then we'll take some more Super Chat donations and get them on the screen. But first, I want you to take a wild freaking guess. And this is sponsored by the Jim Jones Juice and also the Juice Booster, where 99 out of 100 Americans refuse to drink that crap too. Anyways, get this. I want you to think about it. I want you to do the math. I want you to consider the facts, the politics, the medicine, and, well, all the dead people. So a 22-year-old South African rugby player, he's not dead, but he did collapse following his plane trip home from England back to South Africa. And I thought, this is strange. You know, he claims that he's tired, and then he had some injuries from his game. He didn't play a really good game. He had that shit knocked out of him. Folks, I played rugby for the Marine Corps. It knocks the shit out of you. Anyways, my thought was on this is, in order to, play professional sports and travel throughout Europe, I think you need to be Jim Jones juicinated and juice boosted, or they just won't let you in. Right? In order to play and travel internationally, you've got to do that. So is it a surprise that this guy is having some troubles? How often do these pro athletes have to take this crap? How many times, folks? Now, I don't know. I'm not a physician. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV. But we have here another example, folks. Another example. Right? It is going to continue. And we will continue to keep an eye on this topic. It's frustrating. It truly is. But I want to tell you what Senator Rand Paul has said. And this is really important concerning the Jim Jones juice. Concerning, folks, the juice booster. The fact that so many people around the world have taken it against their will, under duress, under threat. This is what Senator Rand Paul said. This is not my words. I'm telling you what a United States senator has said. Quote, for the last 2 years, he's been covering his tracks. Oh, he's speaking about Dr. Fauci. For the last 2 years, he's been covering his tracks, but we've caught him red-handed, and he won't get away. Historically, speaking of Fauci, he will be remembered for one of the worst judgments in the history of modern medicine. I'm going to tell you what, folks. It wasn't a judgment. It wasn't a judgment call. It wasn't a decision based on, science that's evolving. I don't think any of that. I think it wasn't a judgment. It was an agenda. An agenda that was spoken of years before, folks, years before cerveza bug reared its ugly head in late 2019 and then into the spring of 2020 when it was declared a pandemic. Years before it was discussed. Oh, a pandemic. What could happen? How could that be utilized to change the way the world operates, thinks? Folks, those discussions years before COVID-19, preemptively, folks, or rather predating the discussions, that's when they were doing all of the heavy-duty research into gene therapy and mRNA vaccines. Years before these discussions that were participated in by the likes of Fauci and Bill Gates and others. The research had been going on for years, folks, well over a decade. So when they're like, we better come up with something really good to fix this problem. And so this whole idea that Trump was responsible for, Operation Warp Speed, in my opinion, based on the facts that I have in hand, it was all bullshit. They had the juice over 10 years ago. They were studying it over 10 years ago. They knew they had a plan over 10 years ago. And they started talking about it 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And then they executed their plan that they had been working on for at least a decade and a half, based on the research I've done. They knew exactly what they're doing, and they let Trump folks stand up and go, Operation Warp Speed, so that the left could go, we ain't taking anything Trump created. It's like, really? That's how that works, huh? This is Trump's fault. Well, a lot of people want to blame him for it, and I don't, even though he was president when they started this shit. But for me, it was easy to understand the timing of it. They needed something disruptive. They needed something to make Trump look bad, to make the world scared. And so we got both Cerveza bug and then the Summer of Love, which was over $5 billion in damage created by left-wing activists who are mostly peaceful before the election. And I remember even Camel Toes Harris, the vice president, saying, I'm not going to take any vaccine that was developed under the Trump administration. But as soon as Joe Biden was president, she was like, okay, everyone, line up and get your shit. Come on. Chop, chop. Get on your knees. Get in line. Anyways, back to Senator Rand Paul. Right. He is part of the leading effort to reverse the Cerveza bug, Jim Jones juice mandate for military personnel. And he said this, quote, they deserve to have their religious freedom as well as their medical choices and freedom to decide what goes into their body. I couldn't agree more. I really think that Rand Paul, I guess, he doesn't have as much of he doesn't have the fight and the piss and vinegar in him that we do, but he is a brave little guy. He's not afraid to keep saying what needs to be said. It's not just religious freedom. It's not a medical choice or medical freedom. They are our rights. And those are so much more important than describing it as some kind of nebulous freedom. Rights. They're inalienable. They cannot be separated from us. Right? Now, he continued, folks. He said, we know this, and this is a scientific fact. The Jim Jones juice does not prevent you from getting an infection. It does not prevent you from transmitting an infection. And for young people, there isn't significant evidence to show that it reduces the severity or hospitalization. Folks, here's what I have to say about this, right? When all the dust settles and shit hits the fan is over. Now, once again, that could be 15, 20 years from now, right? I want government to be held accountable for everything that's occurred. And I want our rights to be more strongly protected from tyrants and liars like Biden and Fauci and 90 Proof Nancy and all the World Health Organization, the puppets, the World Economic Forum oligarchs, right? All of these people, I think, need to look into ending their own lives because they have ended the lives of so many others. They need to end their political lives is what I'm saying. I'm not recommending violence. They need to end their political lives, their public careers, and get out of everyone's faces. But I want them to be held accountable. If Officer Derek Chauvin, who is serving a a prison sentence of over 20 years for kneeling on the shoulder and neck of St. George Floyd. For violating that man's rights, he gets 20 plus years. I think for all of the people that have been punished, hurt, destroyed, that these government people, whether they're elected or appointed, they need to be held accountable. Right? Why is it that someone can go to prison, go to jail for violating someone's rights when the government does it every single fucking day? Right now, if the mafia was in charge and people got pissed off, like the mafia is doing this and the mafia is doing that, people would be like, yeah, we're going to stand up against these people. Folks, who is the mafia? What did the mafia do? Well, they offered insurance. You pay us, the mafia, and we'll make sure nothing bad happens to you. If something does happen to you that's bad, we'll go find the guy that did it and we'll rough him up. Give him some mafia love. Folks, the government says, give us your money, and we're going to call it taxes. Give us your money, and we'll protect you. And if anyone does anything to you, well, we'll go find them, and we'll kind of rough them up and put them in jail maybe, and possibly, persecute them, and we'll keep the public safe. I think the mafia actually did a better job than what is happening today with these Democrats. All right. Let's do this. Let's get to one of your comments. Jolene, who do we have next? Who wants to step up? It is Alex Jones again with a Canadian $5 super chat donation. And he says, Sweet Madam Blue sticks the song 1975. What did they know? Well, it's interesting. Music, movies, they seem to predict the future. Right? There are movies, folks, going all the way back into the 70s, the 60s, even the 50s, right? Predicting strange things, right? A lot of times there's science fiction, some songs, some music. It just seems to look at the future. I mean, if you look at the book 1984, which was eventually turned into a movie, it was written by George Orwell. Got a little brain fart there. He wrote that not just 5 or 10 years before we started seeing totalitarian government action, but decades and decades and decades. Right? It is, I think, through the some sort of nebulous wisdom that the artistic mind can perceive the future. Right? Now, I don't use the artistic mind. I use the analytical mind to look at where we're at, right? And I don't listen to the government say, we're here to protect your rights, right? I look and I go, well, what are rights? Where were they established? When were they established, right? Who recognized them? Who's good at violating them? You can figure out pretty much where the hell we're going. We're almost at 500 people live, folks, and we're coming up on the 1 hour mark. Whew. What do we want to talk about, folks? It is Sunday Night Live. It is the Christmas Zoo for you. And you get a chance if you hit that super chat button up there, or do CashApp, or do PayPal. We can talk. We truly can talk. I'll tell you what, though. Thank you, Jolene. We have a lot to discuss. I want the word to get out about what is going on. I mean, do we worry about what's happening now? Do we worry about what's happening now, or do we worry about our kids, or is it all really super important? Right? I think it's all very important, and that's why it's so much. It's incredibly difficult to keep up with it all. Do you remember the name Tara Reid? Do you remember who Tara Reid is? Who she was? Her role, right, and what's going on? Well, she was the woman who came out prior to Joe Biden running for president and said, hey, Joe Biden sexually assaulted her, right, in 1993. Right? She is now speaking up, folks, and saying she wants the Republican Party to investigate her claims that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her in 1993. I want that can of worms open, folks. I want it to be done, and I want to do it now. Right? The only way to defeat the enemy is to destroy them. You can't reason with them. You can't bargain with them, right? That used to be called compromise. What good did that do America to compromise with Democrats? The only good it did was allow them to go from calling themselves Democrats to progressives to socialists, and now they're outright, openly communist and fascist. Right? All it's done compromising with these scumbags is allow them to get more power and authority. And look what they've done with it. So Tara Reid says Joe Biden sexually assaulted her. Where was the mainstream media? Where was Nancy Pelosi? Where was Hillary Clinton on this? Oh, no. We have to stand by our men in the Democrat Party. What I think, folks, is if Tara Reid comes out and is given a public voice to discuss what happened to her, right? Joe Biden was a senator back then, and he is a hair-sniffing kid and child groper today and has been for, well, since all we can remember. Imagine how nasty he was back in the 90s. 93. Oh, yeah. Who was president back then? Bill Clinton. Yeah, old Slick Willie was president. So, hell, why wouldn't Joe Biden think he can get away with doing what he wants? Ask Juanita Broderick, victim of Bill Clinton, allegedly. These people are absolute scum, folks. We need to get that can of worm open. We need to fire everything we've got at these people. We need to tell our elected representatives in Congress, folks, every last one of them needs to have an email sent to them. Do not vote for McCarthy for Speaker of the House. Hell, send it to McCarthy himself. So, I'm serious. Send Kevin McCarthy. Send to Kevin McCarthy email saying, don't vote for Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House. Tell him not to vote for himself and tell him why. Right? Because he's sold us out, because he doesn't care. Right? Because he hasn't done anything for freedom, liberty, or the Republicans. In fact, all he's done is threaten people. All right. Somewhere along the line, as we started this, I missed Darcy T's super chat donation. You did a $50 super chat donation. Thank you, Darcy T. And she says, good evening, John. No question, just some dough for the cookie jar. Thank you very much. I could use actually a good bottle of scotch to get me through the Christmas season. I've got the old flask, and this represents the remainder of the stash. Thank you very much, Darcy, and Merry Christmas to you. Thank you for the great donation. You always come through every week. And thank you, Jolene, and thank you, Uman. Thank you, everyone, for continuing to support our efforts here. And what are our efforts here? Well, literally, folks, it is fighting what I consider to be the good fight. We've got to stand up to these people. We've got to keep punching back. Everything, folks. We need to support people who tell McCarthy to stuff it in his ass. We need to tell our elected representatives to go after Biden, go after the FBI. We need to impeach that old fuck, if nothing else. Right? And if you might say, well, John, that's just going to even the score. It's going to make us look petty. Who gives a shit? I would rather look petty and be free than be all erudite and like, well, I've got my dignity, even though I'm wearing handcuffs and leg irons and I'm digging coal to power a power plant so the Democrats can drive around in their electric vehicles pretending like they're saving the climate. In fact, Uman, I'm going to bring you on, man. We're going to talk climate here, okay? Here he is, folks. None other than the great Uman of the rsyndicate.com. There he is.
Hey.
All right, man. The topic I want to go over with you is volcanoes.
I've been doing a little watching about those this weekend.
Yes, you have. And that's why I wanted to bring you back on. Saving the world, one volcano at a time. Your research. I know you're not a scientist.
But I play one on the interwebs.
Ah, very good. Excellent. Good. So you do have credentials. Terrific. Now, seriously, the point I want to bring up is the amount of pollution created by volcanoes. One volcanic eruption does what?
Wipes out all the carbon emission savings that we've done for the last 20 plus years.
Is this a major explosion like a Krakatoa or a Mount St. Helens? Or just the average explosion?
I think they were looking at that Tonga volcano or what's happening in Hawaii right now. And then we just had another one in Indonesia this afternoon.
Oh, terrific.
And I was watching one report showing how all the sulfur that's emitted has spread across the entire globe, but nobody seems to be worried about sulfur and creating volcanic sulfur taxes or plugging volcanoes or looking for that last virgin left on Earth.
Yeah, that's the trick. Throwing virgins in the volcano. I think what has happened is they've been throwing trans virgins into the volcanoes and just pissing the volcano gods off. So rather than going away, more volcanoes are now active. How many active volcanoes are there right now, Mr. Uman?
I think the statistics said there are over 50, and there's about another 100 that are showing all kinds of signs of activity. So, this seems to correspond with the whole grand solar minimum thing and things that we have no control of and no amount of tax dollars could ever stop.
So are you saying there's powerful forces beyond my diesel-powered truck controlling the universe?
I'm thinking about buying 2 or 3 more diesel trucks. Help offset all this crap that they're trying to do to fix it.
Yeah, so the sulfur emissions, automotive fuel used to have a lot of sulfur in it, both gasoline and diesel.
More so diesel than the gasoline, but yeah.
Yeah. But then they ended up going and cleaning that out. The claim was that we would get acid rain from all of the fuel emissions.
Yep.
So the sulfur would go up into the air, it would mix with clouds, and then it would rain. It would create sulfur oxides and rain, and it would pollute the world, right? Burn trees and raise the pH.
And lower
the pH.
And ruin the finish on your cars. And who knows what it might do to these EVs. If salt water sets them on fire, just think what acid rain might do.
When I was in Hawaii, I visited Hawaii, Big Island. There were radio commercials. I'm listening to the radio, tooling around on the island, do. And they're like, hey, protect your car from acid rain. I'm like, we're in the middle of the freaking Pacific. And they're like, no, the volcano goes off and, it emits sulfur into the air all the time. Lots of it, enough that the island always has acid rain falling out of the sky. And I thought, this is fascinating news and information, that the acid rain every day. So it's more of a localized phenomena, right? So if you're in the mountains outside of Los Angeles, if there's sulfur emissions, they're going to get knocked down, rain down in those mountains. But it doesn't cover the entire planet, just the human stuff. It's like near a volcano or near a big city where there's that much. But now we have ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. And so that's not much of a problem. But we have these ultra high sulfur emitting volcanoes that spew it up into the stratosphere, I think.
Yeah, it's on both the northern and southern hemisphere. The Tonga volcano there spread it all over the southern hemisphere, and now with Mauna Loa in Hawaii, that's spreading it all over the northern hemisphere. And it's nature. There's not anything that we can do. Even at our worst, we never did as much to harm the environment as one of these natural disasters can do.
I think the only way we could exceed Mother Nature is to have a nuclear war.
Yeah. I mean, they try to frame it into, if you're not pro anti-climate change agenda, then you're a polluter. It's like, look, nobody wants to pollute the planet. If you let them, sure, we need some kind of regulation on that and some kind of standards. But then also, you got to hold the entire planet to the same standards. Otherwise, you create all these inequities where, we can't manufacture anything for ourselves anymore because we have all these regulations that are so ridiculous. And all we're doing is outsourcing the pollution. It's the whole NIMBY thing, not in my backyard. Let China pollute the hell out of what they're doing there so we could get our $500 computers, but we can't do any polluting here.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
We've got some trouble. But these volcanoes, it's something that's come up from time to time. I mentioned Krakatoa. Isn't there like Krakatoa Jr., the son of Krakatoa? It's developing down there.
Something, yeah. I didn't see anything about that today.
No, that was a few years ago. It started waking up.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant there was another one waking up here.
No, we've got the one in Vanuatu as well. That's been going. It's continuously active. We got the whole ring of fire. I mean,
Yeah.
Japan looks like a really bad case of acne on a kid's face. If you look at the map of volcanoes in Japan.
Oh yeah, if you look at that ring of fire, all the big earthquakes they've been having the last couple months as well. I mean, they're getting sevens like it's going out of style, but luckily it hasn't hit any big population centers.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago it was highly popular in the radical right wing news to claim that Yellowstone was going to blow up and it was going to deafen everybody on this side of the planet. And look out, and we're all going to die, and fear porn, and we're still here.
Hey, could it happen? Sure. Is it going to happen next year? And then we got to do everything we can to prepare ourselves and get out. And one of my favorites is a lot of these channels. It's always the whole Kumpf thing, the come out of her, my people. Now, all these people are pissed off because property values have gone up so much because everybody's moving to their area. So it's come out of her, my people, get out of the cities, but don't come to my area because it's
don't come to my NIMBY area. Yeah. I tell you what, if Yellowstone explodes and takes out half of North America, you guys can all make fun of me.
Yeah.
But let's see, since the last time Yellowstone exploded, it's been 70,000 years? Or 120.
They like to say that it used to explode every so many thousand years, and we're like 10,000 years overdue. So it's going to happen any day now.
Yeah, I think it's every 120. Yeah, we're a little behind schedule. Yeah. But if I look in the last 70,000 years, how many times have human kings and tyrants murdered their own people versus how many times Yellowstone is blown up? The odds are higher that we're going to have more trouble with human activity and human decision-making than worrying about Yellowstone. Now, that said, these little volcanoes going off, they're just letting us know how inconsequential we truly are.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the amount of deaths caused by things like that compared to how many people government and religion has killed over the years, natural disaster doesn't make a dent.
I agree with you, man. Anyways, I wanted to get a little volcano talk in with you, man. I'll turn you loose because we're going to get back to some. Wait, let's do this. Let's do a super chat donation with you on board. I'll ask you to sit up higher so you're sure to be above the words.
Oh, God. Joe back is messed up, man. You're going to make me sit up now?
Oh, look at that.
Oh, wrong way.
There it is. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Old school Cerveza Bug shirt. One of the originals. Still in print. Jolene, we need that super chat donation, and it's Matt D with a 556. He says, Cerveza Bug was either an attack on the trade war with Trump or to stir people up like we saw and votes for the Democrats. I think it was all of those things.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you throw some words out there, man. What do you think about any of those topics? What was one of these more important than the other?
Well, I think it definitely did a lot to stir up the votes for Democrats. But we've had a theory that we've talked about in the past, and the way I look at it is that when the whole thing with this Operation Warp Speed started rolling out, it wasn't getting the reception I think that they wanted. And all the Democrats were saying, we're not taking Trump's Jim Jones juice. And only about half the Republicans were willing to take it. So I think it was, it kind of caused Trump to have to lose the election, because by doing that, now it's Joe Biden's Jim Jones juice.
Right.
And every Democrat was in line waiting to take it. So they got probably 75% of the population juiced up. Now,
that's right.
If Trump would have won, I don't think it would have gone beyond that 25%.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to have to say, keep taking that juice, idiots. I think we've established pretty well, and it's even in Congress, right? I read Senator Rand Paul. It's not safe 100%. It's not like everything else. It's not effective if you can still get it, pass it along, and it's just why would you take something that does nothing for you except raise the risk of myocarditis, or raise the risk of strokes, or raise the risk of heart attack, or raise the risk of clotting? Why would you take something that raises the risk and offers no positive benefit?
I mean, I have taken next to no precautions throughout this whole time unless I was absolutely forced to. And there's only been one time in the last, I don't even know how many years, that I was sick, and that was not long ago. So I may or may not have had it. But everybody that I know, guys that I work with that got it and got their boosters and everything else, they're all on round 2 or 3 of having it.
Wow.
I mean, if I had it before, it didn't make me sick enough to stay home from work or even notice any symptoms. It was just this last time I had some bad headaches for a couple of days and felt run down, and took some Tylenol, got some rest, and I was back up and running.
Took some Tylenol. Whatever happened to the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine?
Yeah, well, that kind of loops me out a little bit, and I wasn't up for that. It wasn't so bad that I felt I had to get that loopy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love the good old bottle of NyQuil and DayQuil.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'll let you go back and start wrenching the hell out of some people. We got some more topics to go through. Folks, we're at 1 hour and 15 minutes. We got 45 minutes left. If you want to talk about something, thank you, Mr. Ooman.
All right.
If you want to talk about something, we've got the super chat button up there to bring your topic online. So, Jolene, what do we got now? We've got Mr. Skylight with a $19.99 super chat, and he has, folks, another great quote. I know it's a great one. He says, quote, "No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot." Another Twainism, Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens. And then he puts in parentheses, "The road is forking, and it's important not to waste any more time on those that will not help themselves." That's interesting. I think that would be Mr. Skylight's advice. Hey, the road is forking. And it's not just like a slight fork, right? It is a hard fork, just right, left. And the road is forking, and it's important not to waste any more time on those that will not help themselves. So if it is a hard fork, and we're continuing in a direction of freedom and liberty, personal health, personal responsibility, that's completely different than the people who are not interested in freedom and liberty, have surrendered their health to others, and have surrendered decision-making to a bunch of nitwits. I might say, don't waste your time with them anymore, because there is no amount of evidence that will ever persuade those idiots. Literally. Now, I know a lot of people took the Jim Jones juice, folks, because they were threatened. They were threatened by their employer. They were threatened by the government. They were threatened by their spouses. They were threatened by family, friends, right? They were under duress. And I get it. They took it. And that's really too bad that they didn't have, they felt they didn't have an option. You always have a choice. You always have a choice. There's a lot of Democrats, folks, who are abandoning the Democrat Party because they know that the Democrat Party is lying. And they're abandoning, not as many, of course, as the illegal aliens coming in the country, but they're abandoning it because they know they have a choice. Right? The media and the news will not tell you these numbers, folks. They won't. Right? All they're going to tell you is, well, Trump sucks, and the Democrats have the presidency, and we need to listen to the World Economic Forum, and Putin's bad, and all that. Right? They want to keep us distracted and lied to. But I am of the opinion that the road is forking. I mean, we've been talking about it in another way, but we'll cover the same thought as Mr. Skylight. It used to be that we traveled on pretty similar roads, Republicans and Democrats, right? But now there's this gulf that is opened up, right? No longer can you just shout across it at the other side. No longer can you, right, tie a note to a baseball and chuck it over there. We can't talk to these idiots anymore. We're so far apart. There's such a chasm between the left and the right. It's just growing all the time to where we can't even see eye to eye on the most simple ideas. Like this, folks. How is this for socialist Democrat incrementalism? In Virginia, an elementary school is going to host, that is, allow on the school grounds, the after school Satan Club. That is what Democrat incrementalism creates. Well, they say, look, if you're going to allow Christian organizations to be on school, the government is not allowed to discriminate on the basis of religion, whether or not you can have the use of public property. Folks, we're talking about the after-school Satan Club. It is only through incrementalism and the mental retardation gymnastics of Democrats that says, yeah, I guess we got to let Satanism come into our schools. Kids, get your favorite Baphomet things, and if you don't have one, we'll give them to you. And the Democrats are on board with this. Folks, Satanism is evil. It's evil personified. It claims that God is bad, or it claims there is no God. Consequently, there's no God, there's no morality. Morality is what you make of it. Right? Satan truly means adversary. So the adversary of God is the adversary of good. God, good. Right? These people want to be the adversary of all that is good. That's who these people are. You know, just bring it up. Who are these left-wing speakers or these left-wing lunatics, folks? Right? It's incredible. I mean, let's take this for example. The House Democrat whip, that is the next Democrat leader in the House, won't be Nancy Pelosi. And she says this: I remember my child waking up with nightmares over concern around climate change. Uman and I just discussed factually the amount of carbon humanity puts into the air, the amount of sulfur humanity puts in the air. The problem isn't cow farts, and it's not how many cars there are. The problem is volcanoes. The problem is solar cycles. The problem is the nature of the universe, and it is much more powerful than we are. So if your child is waking up with nightmares, then you, Democrats, have terrorized your own children, you pieces of shit. Right? You may as well send your child to the after-school Satan Club. Evil, folks. And I've talked about it before, right? I've talked about it before. I mean, good golly. Jolene, where are we at there? Just sent you a question. Oh, by the way, this is very, very important. Very important. I want to get more super chat donations up on the board, but first I want to discuss this because it's an important topic. It has everything to do with you, America, and where we are at right now. In Brazil, the military is beginning to deploy. Martial law is coming to Brazil, folks. That is what it appears to be happening. It's on the lips and the tongues of people of Brazil, including the government. And I said this, be careful what you wish for. Do you recall me discussing just last week, what is worse, martial law or communist dictatorships? Folks, martial law is not good. Martial law is the military controlling the street. Literally, military rule, meaning they can enforce curfews at the end of an assault weapon, a black rifle. That means not police, but the military, right? That would be the Army and the Marine Corps, right? maybe even the Air Force and Navy in certain areas, right? Telling the people what to do. National Guard, you bet. You bet. Some of the most radical wishing wannabes, folks that want to kick some ass, are going to be out on the streets with their own people, pushing them around. Pretty scary business. You don't have our own military deal with our own people because Americans don't like being told what to do, and they don't like people with guns pointing them at them. In fact, we have a lot more guns than the military. It's not a good situation. But in Brazil, folks, this is the direction they're going because the communists have taken over. So what's worse, communism or martial law? Well, it looks like Brazil is going to get martial law instead of communism. Now, get this, folks, communism kills its enemies. Once it has firm control, it goes and it erases all of the people who helped put them in power, from the voting side, from the radical protester side, and the violent militant side. They end up all getting killed. Even sectors and sections of the military end up getting scrubbed by the new communist leadership. Chairman Mao in China did the same thing to his people. Same with Stalin and Lenin. They got rid of their loser youths who helped push their revolutions. Well, here we have Brazil. Now we know that if you get communism, you don't get your country back. If you go martial law, you have a chance of getting your country back. So I think Brazil is going to roll the dice on martial law. Either way, folks, it's SHTF, big time. Watch, listen, and learn, folks. That's what I'm going to be doing, watching how Brazil shakes out. It's different than the United States of America. They have a different constitution that they operate under, but they still have some basic principles. You know, law and order, justice, equality, rule of law. Under communism, none of that matters, right? Let's see what happens next. Okay, Jolene, what do we want to do? What do we want to talk about next? Who's up? And it is Chin Music. He's got some Hunter Biden picture there. Chin Music with a $9.99 super chat donation. He says, John, I usually step in with some garlic Marin style humor, but not today, brother. We just had an election stolen in broad daylight in the Nintendo game of Arizona, and all anyone cares about is the Cowboys game. Sad. I don't even know who is a good football team this year, folks. That's how little I've paid. I have not even watched a football game this year. I have not even watched highlights. I have not engaged in who is and who isn't a good team. And when people talk about football around me, I tune out and turn away because I don't give a fuck, right? The fact that people still watch football and are interested, I get it. It is an American pastime, spectator sports. But I find there to be a lot more important things that we all need to be dealing with. And yeah, it's pretty sad. Those same people are the ones, folks, who are going to be begging, right? Begging for food. And just absolutely confused about what's going on. Well, I'm going to go with this, folks. We had over the weekend, we had David Robinson, who was part of the Dog the Bounty Hunter, right? Dead at age 50. And there's, you know, we can say this, hey, take a wild guess. Take a wild freaking guess, right? Sponsored by the Jim Jones Juice. But what I wanted to bring up is not the fact that at age 50 he died. I don't give a shit. There's one word that continues to be used every time it's mentioned that someone has died. They use the word suddenly. It's used to describe a lot of the mysterious deaths, these sudden adult death syndrome deaths. Sudden adult death syndrome, right? SADS. But the word, and it truly is sudden. Suddenly means, folks, fast, without any warning, no buildup. That is what is being used to describe these mysterious SADS deaths. Sudden adult death syndrome also seems to be affecting children and the elderly. It's not sudden elderly death syndrome. It's not sudden child death syndrome. They're just calling it SADS. Sudden adult death syndrome. What is a syndrome? Do you know what a syndrome is, folks? Do you know what the definition of syndrome is? Well, I'm going to read it to you right now. I'm going in. I just can't help it. Syndrome definition. Are you ready? A group of symptoms which consistently occur together, or a condition characterized by a set of associated symptoms. That is what a syndrome is. So sudden adult death syndrome means that these are consistent causes of death. And one of these symptoms, one of these details about SADS is they are what? Sudden. Suddenly. They're normal and then they're not. They're not like, I've been kind of short of breath all day or my arm is hurting. Those are traditional cardiac disease, cardiac arrest complaints. Yeah, I haven't felt good for a few days. I'm short of breath and my left arm, my left hand, left side of my body kind of hurts. And it leads, they're like, oh shit, you better start taking some aspirin and go see your doctor. Sounds like you have the beginnings of a heart attack, right? It's not sudden. You have some symptoms that lead to the heart attack. With SADS, it's fucking sudden. That is completely different, folks, than cardiac disease, heart disease, right? Clogged arteries. Right? There's a difference between clogged arteries and clotted arteries, right? A clogged artery is an artery that's been closed in because it's building up with plaque. A clotted artery means there's a giant freaking clot in it. That is not normal. It's never been normal to be full of clots. It's fucking scary as fuck is what it is. Scary as fuck. All right, Jolene, did you say we've got something rolling? Do we say we got something going on? We're at 90 minutes into the program, folks. 90 minutes into the program, and I want to talk about this, folks. We have some trouble. People in the medical industry know what's going on. How many times have you heard, well, I got the Jim Jones juice and I was just fine, right? Whole towns have been fine while other cities and towns and areas have just been hammered with, very negative reactions to the Jim Jones juice. Well, we've got this story came out. There was a nurse who injected 10,000 patients with saline rather than the Jim Jones juice. Well, guess what? She gets 6 months in prison. 6 months in prison for giving people an injection of, salt water. The saline solution is the perfect pH balanced saline level that we have in our blood. In other words, you just kind of thin their blood out a little teeny bit, that little syringe full. Now, the media asked this question. How many came down with COVID after they got this saline shot? How many came down with it? Folks, I have a better question. How many didn't have clot shot reactions and death because, they got saline? Just a question. How many people didn't get sick? Now, and I'll understand this, right? It is not, folks, the Jim Jones juice does not prevent you from becoming infected. The Jim Jones juice does not stop you from spreading cerveza bug. The Jim Jones juice does not reduce the time that you have symptoms. How the hell would they know? Unless they took the same person, right? You had exact twins who have the exact same immune systems. And they give one person the Jim Jones juice and the other person doesn't, and then give them both the same amount of cerveza bug jammed up their nose, and then see who gets over it faster. I think that's the only way you could even hope to pretend to try and say, we know what this shit's going to do. And that it's yeah. Ooh, man, you can't prove a negative or a what if. Exactly. Right? It's a complete logical fallacy in the medical world to say, well, if you take it, it's going to reduce the amount of time it takes to get over it. You can't prove that, because you would need the same person in two different universes, right? Parallel universe, and say, okay, in universe A, you're to take the Jim Jones juice, and in universe B, you don't take it. And we'll see which one of you guys, does better. You can't. Anyways, this nurse, how many other nurses did this? I have no idea, no clue. I don't know of any organization or group that recommended this or practiced this or even talked about it. Other than we talked about, well, is there truly some bad batches out there, some extra harsh batches, and we see the consequences of those? Right? Are some communities and some cities, are they getting placebo? Are they getting a regular flu vaccine and not getting the Jim Jones juice? And that's why we don't have problems in this area, but over in this area, it seems to be much worse. How many people have we heard about? In fact, I saw some medical journal stories about people who have gotten the juice and then gotten juice boosted on top of it. They are actually, when they end up getting cerveza bug again, their bodies aren't reacting as well. In fact, they're getting sicker than other people. It's the exact opposite, once again, of what they're claiming is that, well, it'll help you get over it faster, even though we can't stop you from getting it or stop you from spreading it. They're now saying that people who are juice boosted are having their immune systems burnt out. They're getting weaker. Now, Ooman says, I've heard too many times from juicinated people that they're sure it would have been worse the second or third time if they didn't get the pokey. Yeah. I'm like you, Ooman. I don't know if I've had it one time or 5 times. I couldn't tell you, because the symptoms I've had, or rather days when I just don't feel great. When I have those kind of days, it's like, well, do I have cerveza bug, or am I just having kind of a shit day? Oh, I know. How about if I just have a regular flu or a regular cold and I just have a couple off days? Is every cold now cerveza bug? Dr. Fauci would have you believe so. The World Health Organization would have you believe so. The National Institutes of Health would have you believe so. The Democrats would have you believe so. And everyone who lines up to get the Jim Jones juice will say, oh yeah, everything is now cerveza bug. Folks, that's when you know you are immersed in an agenda-driven political campaign. That's exactly what we're in. And so back to this nurse. She's getting 6 months in prison after injecting 10,000 patients with a saline solution. I have no idea, folks, how many people got cerveza bug after getting that saline shot. But I know that the same people would have gotten cerveza bug if they had gotten the Jim Jones juice, because it does not protect you. Unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. All right, folks, it is December. It is the Christmas season, and I want to thank all of you who have sponsored the show, who have come to the preparedmind.club. I want to thank everyone who has just come to Subscribestar, who have supported us in our effort. It's incredible, folks, the fight we're in, the war we're in. And there's a part of the oath of office that people take, that every member of the military takes. And there's a part where you say you're going to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, back in 1988, when I took that oath, I'll protect this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. There are parts of that oath, folks, that still matter to me. right? Obeying the orders or commands of the President of the United States doesn't apply. I don't need the President of the United States to tell me to defend my country and how to do it, right? There comes a point when you're old enough and wise enough and intelligent enough to understand what does and doesn't need defending and what actions do and do not need to be taken. In the military, I know it's a little different. But this idea that you will protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, we now have, folks, a force, an anti-American force that is domestic, meaning it lives within our borders. And they have jobs and social security numbers, and they have authority and power in the highest offices of counties, states, and even the federal government. 1 second. There we go. Now, the Department of Homeland Security is a federal agency, and they have issued a National Terrorism Advisory Bulletin in advance of the holidays. Now, what have we heard for several years? Well, we've heard that it is radical, violent, right-wing extremists who want to tear down this country. So here's what they put out this year. And this actually surprised me. And this comes from Alejandro Mayorkas, right? The secretary of the secretary of the DHS. He says, our homeland continues to face a heightened threat environment, as we have seen tragically in recent acts of targeted violence, and is driven by violent extremists seeking to further a political or social goal or act on a grievance. He said a lot more, folks, about the recent acts of violence, but he never names who does it. At least I didn't read it when I read this, right? In the past, during the Biden administration, right? The Biden administration, they seem to be the ones, pardon me, as I had to stretch a couple of muscles there. They seem to think that it is make America great again. America first type people who are the extremists, like this clown.
Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history.
We've had that jackass saying it's you and I, and they call parents domestic terrorists because they don't want their children being sexualized in school. Well, Mr. Mayorkas said some interesting things here, but he never, ever names the left-wing woke mentality terrorists who he is now warning us about. Quite interesting. He says, our homeland continues to face a heightened threat environment, as we have seen tragically in recent acts of targeted violence. The recent acts of targeted violence going all the way back to the beginning of the Biden administration have been left-wing violent extremists. And they are left-wing. They are socialist folks. They are Antifa-minded. They're BLM-minded type people, and they think that they can act out violently and they commit mass acts of murder. In the last couple of weeks, we've had attacks by the woke mentality, non-binary, wacko division of the Democrat Socialist Weirdo Party. And so they are targeted. They targeted a gay bar. And one of them targeted his co-workers at Walmart. Right? During the Biden administration, we had one wacko who tried targeting a food court at a shopping mall. Right? We're continuing to have these left-wing lunatics. I can remember back into the Trump administration, left-wingers attacking a church. And wasn't it a church member who was packing some heat while praying that Sunday that saved everybody? Or was it the person across the street? I can't remember. It was a while back, and there's been many mass murder attempts by left-wing lunatics since then. But it's interesting that Mayorkas actually seemed to, in this paragraph, speak more truth than normal. Right? He says that the targeted violence is driven by violent extremists. True, they are violent because they're committing acts of violence. And these violent extremists, meaning they're not moderates, they're very extreme. And they're seeking to further a political goal, a social goal, or an act. They act on a grievance. In other words, they're pissed off. And so they act out violently. There is a great warning for all of us. I think it's Uman and others have talked to me. They're like, you know what? I have a concealed weapons permit. I have a permit, or I can open carry. And I hear this frequently. And now I am doing it more often than ever because you just don't know where one of these lunatics is going to go nuts. Right? Hey, folks, they don't just use guns. They'll use a car and just ram right through a crowd. They'll drive right into a business or a bank. They don't give a shit. They lose their shit. Now, I do have a little bit of a question. And maybe, because I haven't asked this question of anybody, I would like to bring Uman back onto the screen and discuss this topic with him before we get back to your super chat donations. We've got super chat donations. I haven't forgot about you guys, right? And, oh, by the way, a $50 super chat donation buys me a big old drink. Anyways, Uman, there you are, buddy.
What was the topic? I was busy in the chat.
You were busy in the chat zone?
Yeah.
Okay, well, keep an eye on those scoundrels. I've questioned the sudden adult death syndrome. And I've seen videos where young folks have been in like what we're doing right now. They're live on the internet in some internet social media platform, and they like turn sideways and they like look at something. They're kind of scared and they spin around and collapse. Right?
Yeah, I saw that that kid who's live streaming do that, and then I've also seen some videos like a bus driver, all of a sudden like look at his phone and then start looking over his shoulder like there was something coming after him or something. Very strange.
Yeah, it's very strange. Now, I don't want to talk about that. I just want to draw a distinction between that, the sudden adult syndrome, right, where suddenly they just lose their shit. They freeze up. They start having the kicking chicken. They go into convulsions, the seizure-like movements. But this confused, scared look they get on their face, I don't know what's going on there. I've been choked out just a few times, and I don't think I get that look on my face. I just go to sleep. It's not a great thing, but I'm wondering, these people that lose their shit and go from 0 to 100 miles an hour, they just drive their car into a crowd. They go get a gun and they just go and attack the mall, or they attack the gay bar, or whatever they're doing. These left-wing lunatics. The question I'm asking is, are they having a different reaction, possibly, to the Jim Jones juice than the sudden adult death? But they get a clot and they just start thinking differently. Like some part of their brains are getting clogged up with shit and they lose their moral compass, or like an animal, they just become very violent. And then they think about, as Mayorkas says, they go after someone and act on a grievance. And the Jim Jones juice makes it more critical that they act now, right? They're like, I'm so mad, and they can't control themselves. I know you're not a doctor and we're not experts, but what do you think?
Well, you hear all kinds of different theories out there about it. And, there's just no definitive proof as to if any of these things are valid. Some people hear this stuff and that's what it is. I mean, I've heard that the Jim Jones juice, I've heard that in combination with the 5G and, all these different crazy theories out there. Yeah, you get into the MK Ultra stuff and all that as well. Mm-hmm. It could be any of those things or any combination of those things. I don't know. But I mean, there's nobody coming out with any real evidence to prove or disprove any of it. So I got to say, anything's on the table. I mean, they say technology is at least 20 to 50 years ahead of what we know about. So who knows?
Right. I marveled at the zombie movie craze, or, The Walking Dead and the zombies. And then I started thinking, what does a zombie do? When we started having these bath salts idiots, zombies want to eat brains of people who are not zombies. You'll notice zombies never attack other zombies.
No.
Right? They're always attacking other humans who aren't like them. And they want to eat their brains. Right? Zombies don't appear to be smart. You don't see them curing cancer or solving complicated mathematical problems. They're zombies. They're kind of fucking dumb. Right? And they're slow mentally and they're slow physically. So when we started getting this idea that the Jim Jones juice can clog your arteries and like strokes, little chunks of it can break off and get in your brain. I thought, are we going to start getting people who are slower, sicker, and mentally deranged, like zombies, and want to kill people who are using their brains?
Well, I mean, you could almost equate that to what's going on right now already. I mean, you got everybody addicted to these things, and everybody's walking around not paying attention, no situational awareness,
right?
Not thinking. And if you challenge anything that they see on that thing, then all of a sudden you're the enemy. Yes,
they get violent, and they get violent quick. They get very mad quickly.
Yeah, I mean, well, growing up, I mean, you had a problem. You got into a fight with somebody, and the fight was over, and it was resolved. The next day, you just kind of have a different mutual respect or become friends with the guy, for Christ's sake. I mean, today it's dig in the heels harder and go even harder against them. I mean, you can't even resolve a disagreement with people these days.
Yeah, the instant violent response I found fascinating with these leftists who just lose their shit, and they go home and they get a gun and they go back to work and start killing people, or they go and get in their car and just start running into a crowd. I told a story a few weeks ago about some jackass who threw a fit over air hose to fill up a tire.
Right.
He stomped up like he was going to kick my ass, and then stopped short, and he's like, "Who? What the fuck?"
As he got closer, it was like that mountain in the distance doesn't look so big.
It got big real fast, but it's just like the anger part and the need for them to take action it's very carnal. It's very brutal, animalistic. I'm not going to see Neanderthal because Neanderthal man had a much larger brain than Homo sapiens.
Yeah, and I mean, if you do anything to challenge them and make them think and have to have a well thought out logical argument to come back and reason with, it doesn't go to, okay, this is my position. Now you tell me what you think and tell me why I'm wrong. It goes straight to that anger and I'm going to kill you attitude.
Right.
So how dare you disagree with me?
Right. Sorry about that, man.
No, man, we're both in the same boat. We got to stop doing this recreational wrestling on the weekends,
I was doing, having some fun this weekend. It's I don't know. You need to somehow just find a way to relax.
Yeah.
Whew. Good stuff. Anyways, man, I did want to bring that up and just kind of have a live chat. And folks, this is what Uman, I, and others do during the week and off hours as topics come up and we just discuss them. Like I knew Oliver has been thinking and looking at volcanoes and seeing what's going on there. And so it made it fun for the discussion. And anyways, I'm waiting for more definitive information on how the people who have Jim Jones juice and the clots. What do you laugh? Oh, you're reading someone's shit.
Yeah, backcountry saying, you guys are getting old, homies.
No. Okay, Vaughn.
You'll be there.
What's your fountain of youth, man? What you drinking, brother? All right, let's do this. I'll let you get back to that crowd over there, and we've got some more super chat donations to deal with here.
All right.
So thanks for putting your 2 cents in on that, Oliver. Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, it's $2. It's inflation.
That's $2. 2 cents. Yeah, no shit. All right, man. All right, Jolene, what do we got next? We've got tapped line, $10. He says, Merry Christmas, and she saved 10,000 people when she didn't give them the Jim Jones juice. He's speaking of the nurse who's getting 6 months in jail for not giving an untested, publicly verified, safe, and effective medication. Yeah, she probably did those people a big favor, but odds are if they went to get it the first time, they went and got it the second time, and they got another nurse who actually gave them the stuff. Scary business. Scary business. I don't want anything to do with that shit. Folks, we're down into our last 10 minutes. If you got something you want to cover, this is it. We're going to close out our 2-hour Sunday Night Live broadcast. If you got a comment, a question, a statement, a thought, a prediction, this is your chance, folks. Your chance. But I want you to know, folks, that the fight is on, right? The fight is on. The government typically is not concerned about us. There's two sets of rules. There's the powerful people, and then there's the little people, folks. In Alabama, the police have arrested an 82-year-old woman because she didn't pay her trash bill, her $77 trash bill. When stories come out about this, look, if the old lady committed a crime and didn't pay her trash bill, well, fine, arrest her. But then we have to ask the question, what about Hunter? What about Joe? Obvious crimes. Obvious crimes. Why aren't they being investigated? Why aren't they being arrested? Why aren't they being prosecuted? I want to know. I do. I want to know. All right, let's do this. We got a super chat donation right now on a question, a comment, a statement. Jolene, what do we got next? We got Timothy Mahoney with a $9.99 super chat donation. It's right up there. There's a super chat button, folks. I'll make you famous. I'll read what you have to say, and the whole world has a chance to hear your thoughts. He says, I do see that more with my age group. There aren't any fistfights anymore. It's 0 to 100. My generation is softer but more dangerous. I never saw it till I left for college. His generation, I'm guessing Timothy means he's part of the younger generation. They're softer. We used to have fistfights, folks. We used to say, okay, you can't have a fistfight in school, right, without getting in trouble. So it's like, hey, at recess, we're going out, we're going behind the bleachers, and we're going to settle this. Sometimes fights would just erupt in a hallway, between classes, or during recess or something, lunchtime, but they got handled. There's a lot more roughness back then, and it would settle problems. A lot of times people could be friends afterwards. A lot of times not so much, but at least we'd find out who was the better fighter, right? Now, I'll tell you what, folks, when I was in school, the girls also had fights. Oh, they would scratch, they would claw, but they would also curl up their fingers and throw punches. And typically, right, someone's shirt got ripped off. If they were losing, the loser would get their shirt ripped off as a kind of a public shaming, if you will, a way to embarrass that girl in addition to losing the fight. Yeah, people are softer now, but I agree they are more dangerous because they don't just want to fight, right? I tell you, folks, I got the shit beat out of me plenty of times. A lot of times I was able to avoid it. A lot of times I got mine, right? But it was just that. It was just a good roughing up, some good bullying, right? Someone just wanted to hit me. Someone just wanted to hurt me. Someone wanted to make me run, right? And so they got what they wanted out of it. They didn't need to kill people. The entire time I was in school, nobody ever got stabbed. Nobody ever got shot. Why is that? And why is it that the people who do the killing are the most mentally delusioned out there? Right? People, folks, in my world, right, we didn't operate on delusion. we operated within the confines of reality, right? Okay, I'll get in a fight and I'll take the suspension teach. But you didn't go, you know what? I'm so mad at you. I'm gonna kill you. Well, that's the rest of your life, and that's ending someone else's life. I don't ever remember saying that person needs to die, and I'm going to be the one to do it. We didn't think like that because we weren't fucking lunatics on, well, I guess a lot of drugs. Whew. Crazy business, folks. All right, Jolene, we got less than 5 minutes. I think we got another super chat donation. Let's get into it. It is Brad Jones checking in with a $1 super chat donation. Thank you again, Brad. Brad is always there, folks. Always, and lets us know. We got a lot of people, and I want to thank all of you who have here on the Sunday Night Live at the zoo have donated, who privately donate in the background. Make sure that we stay here. Make sure we got plenty of tuna, plenty of Spam, and of course, you know, for Christmas, we get the Who Hash in Whoville. That's on the not the Scrooge, but the Grinch, right? Good stuff. There's a lot more to talk about, folks. I want to touch on a couple more topics, give you guys a few more chances, right? But we've got some trouble. And I may as well continue with this idea, this concept of these people losing their shit. Now, I guess, folks, I moved to a very dangerous state. I thought I was fine. But, you know, in the state of Mississippi, a golfer just recently bit off a man's nose because they were having a fight over a golf game. And by the way, the nose still hasn't been found. I wonder if the biter swallowed it. Once again, folks, zombie type thinking. They just go from 0 to 100 and it's brains and kill, right? I'm going to say this, though. Take a wild guess. What is the biter's political party affiliation? Is he a Republican or a Democrat? Do Republicans go around biting off people's noses? Or is that something that we see Democrats do? Are Republicans the ones who end up shooting up shopping malls and churches and gay bars? Or is that Democrats, woke Democrats, who end up shooting up churches and shopping malls and gay bars? Mississippi golfer bites off a man's nose. I guess I moved to a dangerous area of the country. I'm going to be very careful and keep this particular proboscis out of other people's biting range. Zombies, folks. Zombies. Literally. And they're also creepy, sexual, disgusting perverts. Now, everyone knows about Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood means come and get an abortion. So at one of their little functions, the sexual education director for Planned Parenthood claimed that babies are, quote, sexual from birth. And this same sick, freaky, disgusting person endorses, right, suggests that they should give children pornographic material. Unbelievable. Now, folks, as a young boy or a young man or whatever you want to call it, you know, a 10-year-old kid, you're curious about the other sex, the other gender, right? Curious as a boy about girls. They got bumps growing in their chest. You know, things are different. Starting to notice a difference. Boys are getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and girls are getting prettier. And you got some stuff going on there. As a kid, you're interested in other kids and what's going on in kids' world. And so you may or may not find Playboy, right, in Dad's stash or Uncle Fred's stash or whatever. There's a big difference between that and giving children pornography so that you can sexualize them. Once again, folks, these people are a bunch of freaky groomers, and there needs to be something done about it. It's the Christmas season, folks. I wish I could say, you know, we've got all this handled. We've got it taken care of. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense with your plan. Chance favors the prepared mind. Our motto here, chance favors the prepared mind. My goal is to get people prepared, right? I am not going to retire a gazillionaire doing this as a profession, right? It's not going to happen. Holy cow. You silly sick son of a gun. I've got a bottle of Who Mash right here. Not Who Hash. That's what I'm going to have for dinner, but Who Mash. Thank you, Tapped Line, you silly son of a gun. Semper Fi to you. Godspeed. Get prepared, everyone. That is some good Who Mash. Folks, mash is used in the fermenting process where the sugars from the mash are converted into alcohol. So that's where you get the terms like mash or sour mash. Doesn't mean that your whiskey is going to be sour. It's just what the mash is you're using. Corn, rice, wheat, barley, what have you. All good stuff. Anyways, that actually went down pretty smooth. And I want to thank the rest of you. And I've gotten some secret quiet donations. Thank you so much. Oh, it looks like Jolene's saying we got some more here. What do we got? Brad Jones is in with a $5 super chat donation. Thank you again, Brad. You're always there, man. It makes me happy to see your name. Brad has been doing super chat donations, well, since we started doing super chat. And he said, hey, a little bit of golf winnings today. Brad, I hope you keep your nose on your face. Dangerous business out there golfing. And Uman says, oh boy, here we go again. Cut it out. I got to work early tomorrow. Oh, you mean if I have to have a drink, then Uman has to have a drink?
Don't get him going, John. I got to work.
Where's Nikki at? Nikki. Nikki.
They always wait till the end, and then they want to drag it out and start.
Then they want to drag it out. Don't you guys go anymore? I tell you what.
5 hours, and tomorrow sucks.
Let's see. What? Let's look at a calendar. I've got a calendar on the old computer-oo here. Let me look at the dates. Let's see. That's not a calendar. Okay, here we are. Christmas, my friends, is on a Sunday night. The 25th of December is Sunday this year. So that means that, well, Christmas night, the 25th, I will not be here. Christmas Eve will be Saturday, and I will not be here doing a special Saturday Night Live, which means that Friday the 23rd or even Thursday the 22nd, I will do an early Christmas celebration with you guys, and I would be willing to get smashed with you then.
No, let's do it on a Monday because I'm on vacation, and then you can hurt yourself. And you go through what I had to go through the last couple of years with this.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. Absolutely love it. Always good stuff. I wasn't expecting that, Jolene. I think Jolene saves those till the very end.
Actually, I saw it pop up, so we can't blame her.
Oh, okay. Well, you saw it pop up. I didn't have that. I don't have that luxury of seeing them pop up like that. I mean, I can go over to this other screen and look, but the shit you guys talk about is so distracting. I couldn't articulate the recipe for making oatmeal if I started reading all the shit you guys talk about. And there it is. What do you got?
Now Jolene's giving me the crap about the Lord Uman thing.
Oh shit! There it is. So that was you said Nikki.
We were live chatting the other night with some friends, and I was watching some stream, and everybody's getting all upset about how this what is that whatever titles thing, how big of a scam that is. So I went out and I bought 5 square feet of land in Scotland just to piss them off.
Right. Yeah, I thought about that, but then I could say, well, even though I'm a lord, I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. So
then I guess, what the hell?
Then I would be a typical aristocrat, just about all those dumb bastards go broke. Anyways, just because you're born with a royal blood in you or noble blood doesn't mean you're intelligent.
Thanks, Jolie. Now you got other people starting with the Lord Ooman thing.
There it is. Trucker Hershey. Tapped line says, one more. I have to work tomorrow, but do you? Every day is a working day when you're stupid enough to take on the appellation, the prepared mind, right? It's like when I was a kid, 7th grade, I left the rest of the classroom behind. Ooh, man, I was like, the math is too slow, and I was bored to death, So the teacher was like, John, you go over here and you just go with geometry and take off, right? And that was my 7th grade teacher. I don't want to say the name because it's so odd. Someone might find her and try and discover information about me. Anyways, so I was in a self-teaching phase. They didn't have back in the early 80s, these accelerated math programs for smart kids, right? So that's my thing. It's like, John, you just do your own math. And so we're at a talent show. My sister's in 8th grade with her friend Michelle, and they did a little skit and song and dance to Stray Cat Strutting. And I'm sitting there, and this girl in front of me with her dad turns around, and her name is Sherry, and her dad's name is Wayne. And she turns around, she goes, "Oh my gosh, Dad, it's John. He's a wizard," right, referring to my math skills. And so my stepdad, Lyle, God rest his soul, he passed away last year about this time. No, 2 years ago. Anyways, Lyle turns to me and he looks down at me and he goes, "Wizard, huh?" And anytime I fucked up after that, it was, "Nice going, Mr. Wizard." It was good stuff. Back when your dads and stepdads and your uncles would pick on you and you actually became a stronger, better person. Not, "Stop it, I gotta go to my safe space and cry." Yeah.
It's like, growing up, my buddies and I we would always just insult the crap out of each other, knowing it was a joke.
Right.
You suck it up and you come up with a bigger insult to get back to them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, but the place I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis, that I just keep going, if I was a left-wing pussy, I'd be screaming my head off and suing you. But since I'm not, I'm having a hell of a good time. Anyways, tap line says, if Ooman will take one and John drinks one more, I will drink one. Yes or no? Let's do it in.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls.
Oh, there's Cottage Farm. There she is.
Geez, now it's 2 already. Jeez.
All right. Well,
already.
Okay. I got some Who Hash. Cottage Farm steps up. She says, Christmas lights are up. Merry Christmas. Cheers. Snowmageddon in Washington State. Woohoo! So we're going with this.
I don't have a regular glass handy, so I'm improvising with a beaker.
With a beaker.
Cheers, folks.
Cheers. Thank you, Cottage Farm. Thank you, Tap Line. Prost. Cheers. Salut.
Woo.
And a little prayer that I say silently every time. All right. I'm gonna blow the whistle, man, before Nikki finds her credit card. I know she's out there waiting to cause trouble. Anyway, folks, it's the Christmas season, right? Have a good heart. Have love in it, but also understand your enemy doesn't take a day off. They hate your guts. They want to kill you. Chance favors the prepared mind. Semper Fi. Godspeed. I'm running before Nikki finds her fucking credit card.
Merry Christmas if we don't see you before then, everyone.
We will see you before Christmas, but Merry Christmas all the same. Ho, 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 ho. It's not done yet, man. It's not done yet. I got to sign off. Sayonara.